So good to see you again.
Thank you very much. I'm doing awesome. How are you doing? It's great to see you.
It's great to see you, and I think we're both good. You went through such a crazy experience.
And
you had this. I was going to get to this in a minute, but I might as well address it right away. You had a brain hemorrhage a while back, and you recovered from it, and you're doing great. I was just curious. You hear about something like that's so dramatic.
Right.
Paint that picture. What were you, when you had the brain hemorrhage, where were you? What were you doing? Were you out in the world? Were you walking? How did it all happen?
It was, I was sitting on my couch. I wish it was a much more dramatic story than that, right?
Right.
I was sitting on my couch. My daughters had just went to sleep, and I'm a sports fanatic. I'm watching the MLB channel. This is in April, so baseball's just kicking up and all that stuff. And they were having a little break on the MLB, and I switched over through channels, and this is no lie, I was watching Busty Cops 3 to Protect and Serve had come on, and it was one of the channels I'd happened to surf through. True story.
Sure.
I'm not lying.
And you paused there.
I paused for a second for a commercial break, and then
No. You paused. You were watching Major League Baseball, and then you switched over, and let's just say there's some porn on, and you stopped there for a second.
Yes, accidentally.
Yeah.
And so we stopped there, and that's one of the last visions I had was an awful softcore something.
And that's when it happened? Seriously?
In between there and MLB, something went awry, and it was horrific.
Oh my God! I hope you switch back before the EMTs come, and that's on. You know.
That was my only concern.
They're working on you. You're like, hey. Well, you recovered. Thank God for that. You're doing great, and now you've got this show, and this actually comes from a place of passion for you, real passion, because I'm told RVing is something that you feel very strongly about. You grew up RVing, is that right?
I did. Both sides of my family, my mom and dad's side, that's all we did. We went, we take the RVs out, we go camping, we go fishing and do all that. And it's funny that is one of the things I loved. I have this traveling Jones. I love being out on the open road. And I always tell people this, if you really want to get to know the character of a person, go on a road trip with them, especially an RV trip, and you will either love them and bond for life, or you will never speak to each other again, ever.
Right,
and,
because when you're on the road with somebody, it amps everything up. I would say 15 times. Yeah.
15 times, and it's the journeys within the journey. It's not just the destination. I mean, pulling over, doing stuff, having to go through everything of RVing. I happen to love it, but it has truly been in taking that as my passion as a child and taking it into my professional life.
Yeah, your professional life. I'm thinking you're starting out. Your early days, Poison, you're on the road. You must have had van days before you graduated to tour buses, right?
Vans would have been an upgrade. Yes, we went from beat up cars to an old ambulance van, and then eventually we got to the Mini Winnie Winnebago RV, right, which was big doings. That was highfalutin.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you'd go from show to show in an RV.
Everywhere, driving everywhere around this country, just trying to, not only was it an adventure, but trying to play music. And Poison is one of the only bands, we were one of the first bands to have an independent record that broke the 1 million sales mark. It was an independent record, and I remember being out on the road doing that, and the next thing you know, we finally got to a real tour bus and a real motor coach.
Now, what was the most decadent tour bus you had? You must have got, when the money started to come in, I bet you guys went and got a crazy tour bus.
Yeah, we moved up to our first tour bus, and naturally the first thing you want to get is you want to put the jacuzzi, hot tub, the stripper poles, and all the stuff that you have to, the bar. Now,
I like naturally stripper pole has to go. No! Nobody here went, yeah, that's what I do.
They all did.
They didn't. I were watching them. They were just like stripper pole. I mean, I would be thinking like, oh, you'd have like a bar or something like that. But stripper pole, are there strippers there in the bus?
No, your hope is that there's going to be, that's what's going to happen.
It's like you put out the birdhouse and maybe the birds come.
It's the birdhouse, birds come here.
Ding, 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 ding. What you doing? Putting out the stripper pole. Let's wait and see what shows up.
That didn't function very well.
Yeah.
So they quickly got rid of that. None of the birds came. So we quickly got rid of the bird cage.
And you just got something more sensible.
We got a bar, which I was positive that none of the glass that you put up in there while you were moving would move when you stopped. That didn't pan out well, so I have a quick learning curve. And I've learned to build much more functional and fun RVs since then.